Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the 5-Minute English Practice. Today, I want to talk about a phrase that most of us have heard countless times. A phrase that sounds motivating, powerful, and even inspiring at first. No pain, no gain. It's often used to encourage us to work harder, push further, and not give up when things become uncomfortable. But as we grow older and gain more experience, we start to realize that this simple sentence may not be as simple as it sounds. So today, I'm sitting down with Peter to talk about what this phrase really means in real life. When pain helps us grow, when it harms us, and how we can find a healthier way to move forward without losing ourselves in the process. Peter, I've been thinking about this phrase a lot lately, especially when I look back at different stages of my life. And I realized that for a long time, I accepted no pain, no gain as an absolute truth without ever questioning it.
I completely understand that. For many years, I treated it almost like a rule. If something felt difficult, exhausting, or even painful, then it must be worth doing. And if it felt easy, I assumed I wasn't trying hard enough.
Exactly. I used to believe that progress had to feel heavy, uncomfortable, and emotionally draining. Otherwise, it didn't count as real effort.
And that belief is reinforced everywhere in school, in the workplace, in fitness culture, and especially on social media, where struggle is often romanticized and exhaustion is worn like a badge of honor.
Yes. And because of that, I ignored many warning signs. I told myself that stress was normal, that constant pressure meant I was ambitious, and that resting was something I could do later, once I had achieved enough.
I did the same. I pushed myself through long working hours, skipped breaks, and convinced myself that feeling tired all the time was simply part of being successful.
At what point did you realize that something wasn't right?
Honestly, it happened gradually. I didn't collapse all at once. Instead, I slowly lost motivation, became irritable, and started feeling disconnected from the work I once cared about.
That's such an important detail, because burnout rarely arrives dramatically. It usually creeps in quietly.
Exactly. And by the time you notice it, you've already ignored your limits for far too long.
For me, the turning point came when I realized that I was still working hard, but I wasn't growing anymore. I was just repeating the same cycle of stress and recovery without real improvement.
That's when you start questioning whether all that pain is actually leading to any gain.
Yes. And that's when I began to separate discomfort from harmful pain.
That distinction is crucial because discomfort is often necessary when learning something new, developing a skill, or stepping outside your comfort zone.
Right. Feeling confused, making mistakes, struggling to understand. Those experiences are uncomfortable, but they're part of learning.
But constant anxiety, exhaustion, and emotional numbness are not signs of healthy growth. They're signs that something is wrong.
I wish more people talked about that difference. Instead, we often hear messages that tell us to push through everything without reflection.
Which is dangerous because pain can actually be valuable information if we're willing to listen to it.
Exactly. Pain isn't always an enemy. Sometimes it's a signal asking us to adjust our pace, change our approach, or even stop entirely.
And learning how to interpret that signal takes maturity and self awareness.
Another issue I have with no pain, no gain is that it focuses so much on the result that it completely ignores the process.
Yes, it encourages people to chase outcomes at any cost without asking whether the path they're taking is sustainable.
I've noticed that when people are obsessed with the gain, they often become impatient, frustrated, and harsh with themselves.
And that impatience leads to overworking, which ironically slows progress instead of speeding it up.
When I shifted my mindset from intensity to consistency, everything changed. I stopped trying to do everything at once and focused on showing up regularly.
Consistency is far more powerful than extreme effort that only lasts for a short time.
Absolutely. Small actions repeated over time create real change without destroying your mental or physical health.
So if someone asked me today whether I believe in no pain, no gain, I'd say that growth should challenge you, but it should never completely drain or break you.
I agree. Growth should expand your life, not shrink it.
And perhaps the most important lesson is that success doesn't have to look painful to be real.
That's such an important message, especially for younger people who feel pressured to suffer in order to prove their worth.
Yes, hard work matters, but so do rest, balance, and self respect.
Maybe the phrase isn't wrong, it's just incomplete.
Exactly. Pain can be part of the journey, but it should never be the goal.
And that brings us to the end of today's conversation. The idea of no pain, no gain is deeply rooted in how many of us were taught to work, learn, and succeed. But as we grow and gain experience, we begin to understand that real progress is not about constant suffering, but about balance, awareness, and sustainability. If something challenges you and helps you grow, that discomfort may be worth it. But if it slowly takes away your energy, motivation, and sense of self, then it might be time to pause and reflect. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.